Hey everyone, Captain America's Brave New World is out in theaters, and in a lot of ways, it's not at all what I expected, but more than I thought it would be. I intentionally went in with really low expectations, and honestly, I came out a little bit surprised. So let's get into why this film is different than I expected. But before we do, please do give this review a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos and share this review with a friend who might be thinking about seeing this movie. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Unlike the typical superhero spectacle, this film chooses a more intimate scale, centering on politics, personal struggles, and unraveling a mystery rather than a world ending battle. It's a superhero political thriller, an espionage style story where power plays and secrets drive tension. While other reviews might skim over this angle, and maybe they won't, I don't know how many of them are going to really focus on that. I think it's a fresh and underappreciated direction that they took with the film. The story really hinges on Sam Wilson, now Captain America, working for Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, the newly elected president of the United States, as they confront an international crisis within the allied nation that pushes the U.S. to the brink of war, forcing both President Ross and Sam to confront their values and question their roles in shaping the world's future. Beneath the surface, it's a layered exploration of identity, power, and duty. The film, it really keeps you guessing who to trust, which makes it feel a bit like a spy thriller instead of a superhero showdown. Also, because it doesn't follow the standard Marvel formula, I think it actually gives the film an identity that most superhero fans might not be expecting, and that could feel a little odd. What struck me is that this movie really represents the identity crisis that is facing the superhero genre today, especially in films. The thing is, we have oversaturated ourselves with these stories to the point that actors, rather than characters, define the heroes that they play. The fault really does lie with the studios for building their empire around actors instead of characters. And now they're scrambling to redefine these heroes with new faces, which feels really forced. And it's going to have serious implications on the future of the franchise that is going to make it really difficult for them with each new film in the series. This movie captures that identity crisis really well through Sam's confrontation of his imposter syndrome feelings. He wrestles with the kind of am I good enough question as Captain America. You know, should he have taken the super soldier serum? Can he ever fill Steve Rogers' shoes? The film asks whether Captain America is a person or a title. And I think the answer is that the title alone isn't enough. Marvel has chosen to treat these superheroes as roles rather than as people. And so these roles are getting passed down person to person within a story world. But hey, that really misses what makes these characters iconic. I also can't ignore how Marvel's approach contrasts with DC's new Superman film and how they are actually restarting their franchise with a new origin story and a new actor. Or even the James Bond franchise, where different actors inhabit the same character over time without changing the essence of who James Bond is as a character. A superhero isn't just a title to be handed down. They are characters with identities, with pasts, and with families. And they have other issues that define who they are as people. With each new passing of the mantle, we not only have to kind of relearn this new person within the story, but we also have to get used to this new actor playing this new person. And on top of all of that, we have to learn how that character and that actor fit into the title of the superhero that they are now inhabiting. And hey, that is a lot to ask of audiences within each new film, especially since most of these films feature ensemble casts and they don't do much in the way of character building. And frankly, that's a big problem for the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. So let's talk about Harrison Ford because honestly, he owns this film. His portrayal of President Ross is nuanced, it's layered with pain, with hope, and a desperate desire to actually be a better man. And he's doing all of this in his final years of his life, at the end of his career. You feel his internal battle. He's a man who's lost so much, but still pushes forward for what he believes is right. And is that a change from what we're seeing in the comics or what we saw in the past in the comics? I think that it is, but I also think that Harrison Ford is such a good actor that he absolutely pulls it off in this film. Subtle clues that they put into his story, like scenes showing him taking medicine regularly, hint at his hidden health struggles, adding another layer to his character. This isn't just a Captain America film. It's a film about two men trying to be their best selves. Ford delivers a masterclass performance that makes this as much his movie as it is Sam Wilson's. And visually, the film, it has its moments, but like so many modern blockbusters, it falls victim to the over reliance on digital backdrops. You can spot the scenes where the dynamic LED screens are there, like they used in The Mandalorian. And, they replace those real world locations that give that tactile feel. It works sometimes, but in a couple of key moments, it feels flat and a bit artificial, and it undermines the practical effects. And it hurts the realism when we are in these crucial action scenes. Also, Sam's vibranium suit is a mixed bag. It protects him from hits, but it also fails to shield him from other hits. And it feels a bit inconsistent in how that works. And it kind of makes me question some of the action that's taking place. One of my biggest gripes with the movie, it's the marketing. And you hear me talk about this a lot, but I think that the marketing and their inability to really nail the story is actually doing Disney and Marvel as much of a disservice as any of the other problems that the studios are facing. So Disney and Marvel, they actually mislead audiences with the trailers and the marketing. The trailers pitched a showdown between Captain America and Red Hulk. It's everywhere. It's in the posters, it's in the trailers, it's in the ads, it's everywhere. And that's how they pitch it. But this not only misrepresents the story in the film, but it also spoiled what could have been a major surprise that would have created this really interesting groundswell and grassroots discussion among fans. And that undercut the potential payoff and robbed the film of its tension. The real villain, who I won't spoil, was left out of all the marketing, pretty much all the marketing anyway, which would have been fine if they hadn't falsely set up Red Hulk as the antagonist. It was a cheap move on their part to get us into the theater. And as an audience member and a fan, I felt kind of disrespected in that way. And I'm kind of tired of it. So the one thing that I really want to focus on for just a second here is the actual villain within the story. They don't actually spend time on him in any of the marketing. You do get a sense of there's someone behind everything, pulling the strings to make things happen. And this villain is powerful enough to orchestrate everything that happens and to keep himself hidden well enough to make all of these things come together. He is visionary enough to see why this needs to happen. And he actually sees himself as the hero. And that is interesting. And in a weird way, he really is possibly the most interesting superhero in the film because he is complex, he is dynamic. That actually lends to the overall quality of the film, even if Disney and Marvel didn't understand how to market him in the film. I really do think they could have alluded to this mastermind behind the scenes and marketed the film so that it looked like Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie were kind of at odds. That would have made sense and left Red Hulk out of it completely. That would have made sense because there is that dynamic in there, and it would have left enough mystery to keep people engaged and to give people some surprises. But the way they marketed it, all the things that we saw before we went into the theater, and all of the things that we heard about with reshoots and changes, kind of robbed the film of the surprises. There really weren't any big surprises, which was disappointing. And if I could give Disney any advice for the future, I would say learn how to create a better trailer that doesn't give your movie away and believe in your story when you write it the first time. Write the story that needs to be told and stick with it. No matter what you hear out in the world, make that story and stay with it. Because when you end up moving things around the board like you did with this, it becomes pretty obvious when things don't feel as linear or as natural. And when the audience feels a bit deceived and robbed, it doesn't actually create a good impression. So that's my advice for Disney and Marvel. This film is really a superhero political thriller about identity, trust, and reconciliation. It critiques the idea of a superhero and their roles as titles rather than characters with depth, and they question Marvel's approach and how they're passing these roles between characters rather than maintaining the continuity of the titular character in the series. And it also highlights the conflict between Sam's personal mission and his duty to follow the president's order, adding tension to his internal struggle. It explores whether the Avengers are still necessary and if superheroes even have a place in a world that fears them. It also raises questions about leadership and integrity. What does it mean to work with someone who was once your enemy? Can you move forward without erasing the past? Sam and Ross's relationship is complex. They challenge each other, they clash with each other, but ultimately they need each other and they learn how to work. They learn how to communicate and they learn how to come together. Disney and Marvel have some really hard choices ahead. They need to stop marketing films that they don't actually make and start believing in the stories that they did create. As for the film, it's a reflection of a genre in transition. It's a brave new world, not just for Captain America, but for superhero films as a whole. So let's get down to it. Is Captain America Brave New World worth your ticket? I say yes. It's not perfect. It's messy and it's flawed and it's burdened with studio baggage and other issues, but it's also thoughtful. It's engaging and it's anchored by a powerhouse performance from Harrison Ford. If you're looking for a superhero movie that is something beyond just a world-ending battle, this one might be worth your time. And final note, be sure to stick around. There is one end screen credit scene that you'll want to watch. So, what did you think? Have you seen it and are you planning to? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And be sure to share it with a friend. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. And while you're here, why not check out one of these reviews? All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you all again soon in the next one. Bye for now.